Okay, we are live.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular City Commission meeting of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, Tuesday, November 15th, 2022. Madam Clerk, can I have the roll?
Yes, Mayor Betty Resch,
Here.
Vice Mayor Christopher McVoy,
Here.
Commissioner Sarah Maliga,
Present.
Commissioner Kimberly Stokes,
Here.
Commissioner Reynaldo Diaz.
Here.
Great. Commissioner Diaz will lead us in the invocation or moment of silence.
Yeah, it can be challenging to pick what to talk about for our invocations or a moment of silence. And looking at our agenda, I mean, we're going to start with a number of proclamations that I know I personally know people who are affected by each and every single one of these issues. So there's so many things to think about: lung cancer, hunger and homelessness, education, transgender, Day of Remembrance, and small businesses. So if everyone could take a moment and in your own way, just take a moment of silence to think about those who you might know that are affected by these issues. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Amen. I will read the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Madam Clerk, are there any additions, deletions, or reordering?
I do not have anything, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. Anybody from anybody else? No, great. Okay,
Motion to approve?
motion to approve.
We don't
yeah.
need one, thank you.
Oh, we don't? Okay.
It's only when it's amended, but thank you.
I feel like it's amended every.
We do our best.
I know it normally is.
Okay, great.
So we have some proclamations tonight. And the first one is going to be read by by Vice Mayor McVoy.
You gave me a long
I did.
proclamation. Whereas lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer death among men and women in the United States, accounting for more deaths than colon cancer, breast cancer, and prostate cancer combined. Whereas the fifth 5-year survival rate for localized lung cancer is 60%, yet only 24% of lung cancers are diagnosed at this stage. And screening for lung cancer for high-risk individuals using low-dose computed tomography can lead to the earlier detection of lung cancer and save lives, reducing the mortality by 20% when compared to screening by chest X-ray in the National Lung Screening Trial, and reducing the risk of death at 10 years by 24% in men and 33% in women, as demonstrated by another large randomized trial. Get your computed tomography test. Whereas funding for lung cancer research trails far behind that of many other cancers, and additional research is needed in early diagnosis, screening, and treatment for lung cancer, as well as in lung cancer affecting women and lung cancer health disparities. And whereas lung cancer incidence is decreasing twice as fast in men as it is in women. Each year, more women die from lung cancer than breast cancer, and by 2035, more women will die from lung cancer than men. And whereas African Americans have the highest incidence and mortality of lung cancer among all races, and disparities in lung cancer screening, diagnosis, treatment, and mortality are well characterized among African Americans and other racial minorities. And whereas lung cancer in individuals who never smoked is the 7th leading cause of cancer-related death, and accounts for 17,000 to 26,000 deaths in the US every year. 60 to 70% of individuals diagnosed with lung cancer who never smoked are women, and the proportion of lung cancers diagnosed in people who never smoked is increasing in the US. Radon is the leading cause of lung cancer among individuals who never smoked, and the second leading cause of lung cancer overall. And whereas organizations such as the American Lung Cancer Screening Initiative and Women's Lung Cancer Forum are committed to educating about lung cancer and lung cancer screening, and working to increase lung cancer screening rates in Lake Worth Beach. Now, therefore, I, Betty Resch, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in her, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim November 2022 as Lung Cancer Awareness Month. In witness whereof, she has set her hand and affixed the seal of the City of Lake Worth to be affixed. It's the 15th day of November, 2022.
Thank you. Ms.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's important stuff.
Commissioner Diaz is going to read a proclamation regarding hunger and homelessness.
Whereas the state of Florida ranks 15th in the nation for the highest homeless population, and 1 in 7 of the state's population struggles with hunger. And whereas the Palm Beach County homeless point in time count in 2022 identified 1,404 individuals and families experiencing homelessness, and the Palm Beach County Hunger Relief Plan indicates that more than 300,000 residents struggle with hunger. And whereas the purpose of Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week is to educate the public about the many reasons people are hungry and homeless, including the shortage of affordable housing in Palm Beach County for very low income residents, and to encourage support for homeless assistance service providers, as well as community service opportunities for students and school service organizations. And whereas the Palm Beach County Homeless Advisory Board has developed Leading the Way Home, a robust 10-year plan designed as the next phase of ending homelessness in Palm Beach County. And whereas the intent of Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week is consistent with the activities of the Homeless Advisory Board, Homeless Coalition, Homeless and Housing Alliance, Palm Beach County Food Bank, The Lord's Place, Gulfstream Goodwill Industries, Adopt a Family, and other service providers in Palm Beach County. Now, therefore, I, Betty Resch, by virtue of the authority vested in her as mayor of the city of Lake Worth Beach and on behalf of the city commission, do hereby proclaim November 12th through the 20th, 2022 as National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. In witness thereof, she sets her hand and causes the seal of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Florida to be affixed hereto this 15th day of November, 2022.
Thank you very much. And now Commissioner Stokes will read about American Education Week. And I think we have some folks here that happen to be educators.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, for giving me the honor to read this. I just want to say that I think it's more important now than ever to recognize American education and that it plays a much larger role than just teaching students standards in arithmetic and reading. Right now, teachers are being asked to deal with the learning loss as well as other effects from the COVID and the time spent away from school. We're asking our schools to provide mental health to the children, provide meals to address the hunger issues that Commissioner Diaz just talked about. They're dealing with things about school safety. People throughout the country are calling on teachers to carry guns in schools. They're being caught up in culture wars and having to teach while thinking about books that are being banned and if they're going to be personally liable and sued over this. They are trying to teach their students how to become digital citizens and how to navigate the bullying and safety online, as well as how to find reliable information and avoid all the misinformation that's out there. And they're doing all this on a salary that is just harder and harder to live on. So I think any chance we have to honor not only our teachers, but all of the staff and professionals that are in the system of education, we should do it. So I appreciate this.
Yeah.
It's
good to have you here to do it.
It's a little close.
It's a little close.
I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah.
So whereas November 14th through 18th, 2022 is American Education Week, an important time to celebrate public education and honor the hardworking professionals who strive to ensure that all children receive an outstanding education. And whereas the first American Education Week was observed 100 years ago in December 1921, since then, schools and communities across the United States have come together each year to conduct activities that bring attention to the importance of education. And whereas, in addition to the celebration, the week is intended to serve as a time when citizens are encouraged to stand up for our schools and champion the long-held belief that public education is a pillar of democracy and a cornerstone of American opportunity. And whereas during American Education Week, it is essential to highlight the significance of public schools and the role they play in educating our students and preparing them for success in life. And whereas the city of Lake Worth Beach recognizes the important role that an effective education plays in preparing all students in the city of Lake Worth Beach to be successful adults and is critically important to the economic vitality of the city. And whereas we are very proud of the public schools in Lake Worth Beach, which provide opportunities for young people in academics, athletics, music, and the arts, and extracurricular activities, and also serve as an integral part of our community. Now, therefore, Betty Resch, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of authority invested in her, do hereby claim November 14th through 18th, 2022 as American Education Week, and witness whereof she will set her hand and cause the seal of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, to be affixed on this 15th day of November 2022.
Thank you. And let's have all the educators come up and you go down and get a photograph.
Did we want to do they want to say anything? Yep.
Would you? Yeah. Good job.
I'm glad to see you too. I just wanted to introduce you to your newest principal here in Lake Worth Beach. We are so pleased today to have Miss Frances Fry, who is leading our Highland Elementary, and some of the staff that she brought with her. Do you want to come introduce everybody that you brought with you and just say a quick hello? Oh, and thank you so much for recognizing.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Whitfield. This was unexpected, and I see some familiar faces. I served as the assistant principal at Highland Elementary, and I'm blessed to be the principal now. And so when I received the email, I forwarded this to my staff and said, who would like to attend this meeting with me? And so I have my assistant principal, Mrs. Martinez. I have my music teacher, Mr. Fergil. I have my third grade teacher, Ms. Sanchez Busto, who is from Spain and has come here to teach in our dual language program. She's been here for 3 years and she's amazing. I have Miss Seaman, who lives in the city of Lake Worth Beach. She rode her bike here and she teaches first grade. And I have Miss Vianager, who is on the fine arts wheel, and her role is to develop oral language with our students. It's a new program, and so they're just phenomenal, and I'm so blessed to have them here with me tonight.
Thank you for coming.
And thank you all again for recognizing education. Lake Worth always puts education as a priority, and we really are grateful for that. Thank you, Commissioner Stokes, for taking a picture.
And Vice Mayor Boyd's gonna come down and take a picture. I heard you have a Girl Scout troop starting in Highland.
Oh, yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. One more.
Our kids are in.
And I forgot to mention, we also have our instructional superintendent, Miss Karen Wetzel, came with us today. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night. Happy Thanksgiving.
Have a good Thanksgiving, everyone. You get the whole week off now, right?
Yeah.
All right.
We'll get the whole week off.
Now it's my turn. And this is regarding November 20th, 2022 is the Transgender Day of Remembrance. Whereas we take this day to remember transgender people who died as a result of anti-transgender violence. And whereas today and every day, we must respect transgender rights and acknowledge the discrimination, violence, and challenges transgender people face. And whereas transgender people are our family members, our friends, our neighbors, and our coworkers who we need to support and accept. And whereas the city of Lake Worth Beach is at the forefront and has been of efforts to eliminate transphobia and homophobia while empowering individuals and communities to stand up against hatred, intolerance, and discrimination. And whereas one of the most diverse cities in the world, we have an obligation to create a city that is inclusive for all. Whereas on this solemn day, we want to let all residents of Lake Worth Beach stand with transgender people, their children, their parents, family members, friends, and partners, and commit to working towards transgender rights and safety. And now therefore, I, Betty Resch, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim November 20th, 2022 as a Transgender Day of Remembrance. Last but not least, our own Commissioner Maria.
Okay, thank you. So I get November 26th, 2022 is Small Business Day. Whereas the city of Lake Worth Beach celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community. And whereas, according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are 32.5 million small businesses in the United States. Small businesses represent 99.7% of firms with paid employees. Small businesses are responsible for 62% of the net new jobs created since 1995. And small businesses employ 46.8% of the employees in the private sector in the United States. And whereas 79% of consumers understand the importance of supporting the small businesses in their community on Small Business Saturday. 70% report the day makes them want to encourage others to shop small. Independently owned retailers and 66% report that that day makes them want to shop small all year long. That day is November 26, 2022, the day Saturday after Thanksgiving. Whereas 58% of shoppers reported they shopped online with a small business, and 54% reported they dined or ordered takeout from a small restaurant, bar, or cafe on Small Business Saturday in 2021. And whereas the city of Lake Worth Beach supports our local businesses that create jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our communities. And whereas advocacy groups, as well as public and private organizations across the country, have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday. Therefore, she, Betty Rush, the mayor of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by the virtue of authority vested in her, and on behalf of the city commission, do hereby proclaim November 26, 2022 as Small Business Day, and urge the residents of our community and the communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday and throughout the year. In witness whereof she has set her hand and caused the seal of the city of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, to be affixed this 15th day of November 2022.
Thank you. And we do have an active Small Business Saturday, so get downtown a little bit, shop, do a little shop, have a little food, and support our local businesses. I think we're all aware of how difficult the times have been for them. Do you want to go? We're going to give them to the city clerk. But yeah. Okay. Okay, now we have commission liaison reports and comments. Let's start with Commissioner Diaz.
All right. Oh gosh, a lot has happened since our last meeting. I guess some highlights, like I really enjoy making progress. Today I had a really good call with someone from Bryant Park Neighborhood Association, for example, and just like the collaboration and working together and the creativity of people from our community is really immense and has been a joy to work with. We have a lot of plans on better utilizing, not necessarily that it's bad, like Bryant Park is always used, it's a tremendous asset, and we just continually work to improve it. This morning I took out a group of about a dozen kids fishing on Snook Island's pier, and it was brutally hot and they didn't really catch anything. They were a younger group, so they're still learning, but really can't always come away with an appreciation of like what we have right in our backyard as a public asset. And then almost appropriately after that, of course, I'm involved with Lake Worth Lagoon Initiative. So all day today was the Lake Worth Lagoon Science Symposium, and it was a really good conference, even though I only saw half of it. It's a lot of experts, scientists, people, including from our own community, who just work continually so hard to protect our environment, protect the Lake Worth Lagoon, and make sure that it's an asset that everybody can enjoy. And I'll give a special shout out. She's not here, but Lake Worth's very own Jenny Powell. She was really instrumental in working hard for Lake Worth Lagoon. And she got a really nice shout out from Deb Drum, who's the director of County where she pointed out, Deb she's been working on as a director for a number of years now, but as she says it, she is standing on the shoulders of giants, including our own Jenny Powell, others like Rich Valisky and all them, because they laid down this foundation, and it really it's really reflective of the people we have in our community and how involved and passionate they are, because this doesn't happen in a lot of municipal governments. To have people show up and fill benches and comment is not common, right? So everyone who's here, we always appreciate you, because this is not the norm, right? A lot of even way bigger municipalities with 10 times as many people and they might have 3 or 4 people come and comment. And we always have really good involved citizens. And I just kind of want to point out that, I really appreciate that and love working with them.
Thank you. Commissioner Stokes. Yes, I'll report on what I'm hearing from the Education Task Force. So we met this month and started preparing the presentation that will be coming to the commission next month. I did go to the North Grade SAC meeting, and that's where I learned how overwhelmed some of the teachers there are feeling, just because they did a whole presentation on the dangers of social media and the internet for kids that aren't prepared, and even some of the parents at home don't know how to navigate it and to help. And so they're trying to educate the parents in the community what to look out for, and heard some disturbing things that have been happening. During COVID, a lot of computers were sent home with every student, and in the rush just to keep them online and able to learn, there wasn't a ton of education on how to properly use it and stay safe. So that's a focus that they're now having to deal with as well. I saw you, Mayor, at the Veterans Day concert at the park, along with our amazing Lakewood High School band. It's always fun to watch them. One of our art teachers at Lakewood High School just won the statewide award, where Art Teacher of the Year for the whole state of Florida, nominated by I'm going to bring that back and try to honor her next meeting. And then I'll give you all the actual details about it, but that was so exciting to find that out. I've talked to a few different residents who are active in the schools and we're going to try to partner with the schools already, starting to think about Earth Day and how we might be able to partner with the schools. Because I know traditionally we relied on different organizations to do a lot of Earth Day activities. So we're looking into that. And then also met with Lauren Bennett, our Director of Leisure Services, to start thinking about ways to be involved to celebrate the end of the school year and to celebrate our graduates and how the city might be more involved. So we're working on that. The referendum did pass last week, so our schools will continue to get the same level of funding that they had. So we won't see a giant exodus of teachers leaving the classroom due to that. So a lot of things happening in the world of education. And I think that's it for me today.
Thank you. Vice Mayor McBoyd.
Thank you. All of us that were able to participate in the Veterans Day Parade and in the ceremony at the Cultural Plaza. Very moving speech by one of our residents and talking about some of his experiences and encouraging us to reach out and be understanding of the situations that veterans have gone through. And sometimes gets forgotten after they come back. So I was glad to be able to participate in that. Later on that same day, I want to shout out to Mary Sissonian from the Rudy's. She was just so supportive. It's kind of along the line of what Commissioner Diaz said, that we have a very active community that really wants to participate. My wife is organizing a event to support political prisoners in Venezuela, and Mary was just super in hosting that and really excited to be able to participate. I was very lucky and able to go today to the whole day's worth of the Lakewood Lagoon Science Symposium. And yes, it was very nice to hear the shout out to Virginie Powell. We have several, Ricardo Zambrano with the Florida Wildlife Commission, also lives here in town, very active. It was really striking to see how much environmental restoration the county has been doing, and a lot of it here associated with Lake Worth, off of the golf course, south of the bridge. It was really highlighted whole presentations on the American oyster catcher. Really want to encourage our commission and our legal department and our city manager to get the signage, the ordinance in place for drones. It doesn't look very good. It's taken so long to do that. Let's get that done and get out to protect the oyster catchers. Somebody specifically talked about that of Lake Worth here in that overall successes on the American oyster catcher. Very good presentation, a number of good presentations, but one that was really inspiring was Melissa Landis's one on innovative approach that the Lake Worth water keepers are doing on environmental education, pointing out that really at this point in human history, all education should be environmental education because the issues are so central to how we think about things. And in that vein, I would encourage us as a commission to really do take an active part in the Earth Day celebrations, that we come up with some not greenwashy, feel good sort of stuff, but some things with some real science content to it of the real issues that are facing the planet and us as a coastal city. I was able to go to the Tropical Ridge Neighborhood Association. Yes, that was a while ago. Some really good discussion that came out of that about trying to set up an approach. That's something that I've been talking with the city manager for a while, that I suspect other commissions have too, on us taking pride and encouraging our residents to take pride in the appearance of our city and doing some work at trying to help people know how to be good neighbors and help do that. I hope that we'll follow up on that and make some headway. That will leads to another one that's a social services center in our city that's been here for a long time, the Guatemalan Maya Center, that many of us think of as supporting only the Guatemalan Maya community, in fact supports much wider range of people. The number that sticks in my head was about 10, 11,000 people a month that they work with, of which the guess was pretty close to 80% of them are from here, from the city of Lake Worth. All sorts of nationalities, of course, many from the Guatemalan Maya community, but Haitian community and a zillion other countries around the world. They need a home. I really want to reach out to my fellow commissioners. Let's find a way to make that possible for them to stay in our city. I think it's very important. A little bit of analysis would show that the benefit back to the city is well exceeds in the price. And that's what I got.
Thank you, Commissioner Blake.
You've been busy, huh?
I think I forgot to.
I think you probably did.
Close.
So I attended the Vernon Heights barbecue and ran into the mayor there. That was fun. They had it on their private park up on North A Street, and it was a great turnout. Somebody actually has a pet duck. That was the fun highlight of my day. Her name's Quacky, and she was following her mom around, and Carmen was there, the city manager was there, and we all got to experience what it's like to have a pet duck. So that was the highlight of my weekend. Last night, I was the guest speaker at the South Palm Park Neighborhood Association. Wow, did they pack the room? I think there was almost 100 people in the back row of Rogues. And I was just overwhelmed the turnout that they had. Their biggest concern right now is the illegal, illicit activity that continues to happen in the South Park area. So hopefully we can work together with Captain Bear and try to get some resolutions for them. Attended the NAPC meeting on Saturday morning because it was rescheduled from Veterans Day. They are eager to have a further conversation on being the new representatives of Evenings on the Avenue. Once a quarter on the first Friday, I think is what they said. So we're going to try to work through the details. Talked about the fact that we're very short-staffed. Leisure Services is overwhelmed, but we as a commission talked about bringing that back. We don't have budget, so they're eager to step in and help however they can. Went to the grand opening of the Cozy Cottage, which is a new business on North Dixie. That was fun. That was on my way to the Vernon Heights barbecue. And small bit of fun information. I graduated from Florida State University today from the College of Business with a small business executive program certificate.
Congratulations. I know you worked really hard on that for a long time. Can you breathe a little bit easier now?
So much. I actually cried in my hand.
Aw. That's great. That's wonderful, yeah. I don't have much. I had the joy last Friday night at the Lake Worth High School band. We have a great band at the Lake Worth High School. I have to say this over and over again. 6 years ago, she came into Dr. Cox, Tiffany Cox came into Lake Worth High School. There were 9 children in the Lake Worth High School marching band. 6 years later, there are 125. It's remarkable what she's done. She's the most energetic, positive. she could work with the city. She's so energetic. I think of Lauren and Tiffany Cox, sort of along the same line. And she came to me a few weeks ago and said, would you be willing to conduct a number at the concert? And I said, sure, why not? And I got the amazing opportunity to actually conduct the Stars and Stripes that was my conducting debut. And it was great fun, but just to see these kids work and to see how hard they work. And these, our kids are not rich kids. A lot of our, our uniforms are from other schools, or we get donations of instruments, but the enthusiasm and the camaraderie that these kids have. And, we celebrated the basketball team a few months ago, same kind of thing. Our high school is a community high school. Those kids are us up here when they grow up. So I have always tried, and for some reason I can talk to high school kids better than smaller children. But I want to encourage all of us to get involved. We're a small community. We have community schools. I know that South Grade Elementary is very needy of people to come and read to their classes, to be read to read, to help the kids. I know the Guatemalan Center, last night when she spoke, I was at that meeting as well. They need tutors. They need people to come in and help these little kids that, their parents have no idea what it's like to live in America. So we need people to come in and go, this is how you do it. And here's a little English, and here's how to become a member of our community and feel part of our community, which I think is very, very important. But the concert was great. The improvement in the band over the years is just remarkable.
I do have to say that the kids really enjoyed your conducting. It was, I think you had to start, you started and you had to restart, right? Because everyone was.
They pranked me. They pranked me. I got up there and I said to the kids, I don't know how to do this. And I raised my baton, it was supposed to, right? And it was like, and Tiffany Cox had set that up. After I said nice things about her. But it was great. There's one little clarinet player, this little young man said, I said, yeah, I'm a little nervous. He goes, we got you, Mayor. So it was, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think everyone did.
One thing we need to talk about, though, I think, is attendance at our Lake Worth School events, sports, music. I'm going to put it on Facebook. I don't have it with me. There's a couple concerts. The kids are doing a band concert coming up, and I think I have the flyers, but I'll put it out there on the city website. Let's go to see these kids. Let's encourage these kids. A lot of kids, these kids, their parents are working at night, or they have other kids. It's not Leave It to Beaver anymore. And the more of us that can come and encourage from the little kids up to be part of our community is a wonderful thing. These are amazing little children, and a lot of them are fighting a lot of things that we never could even imagine having to fight. So I'm asking all of my citizens, all of us, to go out. Greg Richards picked up the Lake Worth High School basketball team as his sort of special project. He's encouraging us to go to the games, and we could all go out to dinner first and then go to a game, make it a little community project. So I just think that's important and wonderful. Next week, Commissioner Malega and I are going to be up in the lovely city of Orlando. It's the Florida League of Cities Legislative Conference. It's 2 or 3 days talking about what the cities are going to be going up to. We have to go to Tallahassee in January, February, and I'm on the legislative committee of Land Use and Economic Development. You're on the municipal administration. So we get together and we've zoomed about what are our priorities for the coming year. And so we are going up to the legislative committee next week. Lake Worth will be at the table. And I wait. What? Oh, or don't get COVID at the table. Day of the Dead was amazing.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
Following up on what Vice Mayor McBoy said about raising consciousness. One thing that I've learned too is, like, as we all experience it, how do you get the word out? How do you educate a group about something? So one of the things we talked about last night at this meeting was, that people litter. And I remember when I was a kid in New York City, people would just throw their stuff out the window, and there was a public campaign, give a boot, don't pollute. And all of a sudden people were paying attention. It's like cigarette smoking. You're like, so what we're talking about doing is trying to figure out some sort of creative way, whether it's a contest for, a banner or signs, just get in all the different neighborhoods, pick up after yourself. Don't leave your beer bottle in Bryant Park. Or whatever else you do that you leave in Bryant Park or any on the streets. So I think a little more public education on those kinds of issues will be helpful to all of us because we all want to be proud of our city and just to raise the consciousness of pride where you live. You may not own it, you may not have a lot of money, but it can be clean and it can be neat and it can be comfortable. So that's my little spiel on that.
Not sorry to interrupt, but my organization, we organized a series of speakers at Mandel Library, and we actually our latest one the other night, last night, schedule and politics, right? So last night our speakers were Elaine from City of West Palm Beach, their sustainability coordinator, and Diane Bueller, she runs Friends of Palm Beach, and that's exactly what we discussed. So maybe I can share some info with our city manager because I came away with some really good ideas. They have West Palm has a task force between their own, their own utilities and other groups. I've mentioned painting our drains. They have a lot of good ideas, and I think there's stuff that we can potentially incorporate because I'm 100% right there with you on that.
Yeah, it's up to us to get the word out and to make people realize that it's important. So I think I was kind of long-winded. I think that's all I have. Moving right along, city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of things I just want to share. I think you all mentioned some things that we already attended together this week. But I did want to give just a preliminary update on Hurricane Nicole and the impact on Lake Worth Beach. And I think we all know that we were blessed. And so we certainly have our hearts out for those who've been impacted seriously by that storm. But we had some minor damage. And I just want to give you a report on what that damage was. We've had 3 trees that were down, and one in Bryant Park, one in Sunridge, and one at the Northwest Ball Fields. We will have to replace the pier canopy. We need to replace the pier panels. There were about 25 panels that were damaged by the ocean surge. Also, the railing sections of the pier, and also the electrical components underneath the pier. So we have an estimated cost about $60,000 of damage that we will encounter based on that. And most of the work will be done internally, with the exception of the electrical work under the pier. So I
The
want
lifeguard
to see
station. Did we lose the lifeguard station?
No, we did not. No, we did not.
That was a false fact. That was fake news.
We didn't lose a lifeguard station, but the county's lifeguard station was lost.
Oh,
Yes, yeah. So like I said, we were fortunate and
yeah.
certainly, and I believe our water department and electrical department was asked to assist in the few of the communities that were impacted. I haven't gotten word if they've taken us up on our offer, but we certainly extend our assistance.
I think 18th Avenue South, that area.
Yeah, we did have some flooding in the area, certainly not as extensive as it could have been. But I know our team worked through the night. I want to give special thanks to our electrical utility team, our public works team, our water department, and all the other teams within the city that stood ready to respond. They worked around the clock, the whole several days, working hard to make sure that we stayed connected and address any of the issues that came about. So they did a great job.
I think the hardening of the system that Mr. Liberty's been doing over the past few years, really, years ago, we would have had some outages, and I don't think we were hit too badly without.
No, we had some outages. They were what we consider minor, but of course,
Yeah,
those
nothing-
who were affected may not feel it was minor, so we recognize that. But I believe none of our outages last beyond an hour. If they did, it was rare. But they, like I said, they were on the job. They were quick to respond when it occurred. They were brave. They were safe because we had winds well over 45 miles an hour, and they were still climbing.
Wow, wow.
And so, but their experience they know that safety's first, so, but they were willing to do what they need to do to make sure everyone's connected.
So this is a reminder to myself because 60,000, I'm going to take a very tiny chip of about maybe $300 worth. And I brought this up to Lauren already. I do have 8 fishing line recycling bins, Bill, and I just got to remind myself to pull them out of our storage and get them on up here.
Give it to us. We'll put them up. And then the last thing, I just want to take a moment to thank you all for allowing me to attend a symposium November the 2nd through the 4th, 3 days. The National Forum of Black Public Administrators held a symposium for city county managers from around the country. And so we were the first cohort to go to the University of Georgia's symposium in Athens, Georgia. And so it was an intense 3 days. We were locked up. We didn't go anywhere, couldn't even visit the campus. And I believe it's a beautiful campus, but I can't tell you. I was living them out of the campus, but it was a very, very dynamic and insightful program. And what I took away from that program was the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn as we have creative understanding and discussions on difficult topics. And so that was the main takeaway to become an adaptive leader and think adaptively. And by that, I'm meaning we had to unlearn what we listen, and we make sure that we don't put aside our personal issues. And when we come together on these dialogues with others, that we listen to understand and not listen to debate and push our own issues. And we come to a solution, or we walk away with understanding someone else's experience so we can adjust our assumptions and positions. And so it was dynamic. We even had exercises, and we had to come into confidential agreements and respect, and we had to have time limits in how we talked to make sure everyone had equal time to express themselves. And it really was very insightful. We also took a profile, which they call emergengenics assessment. And so we learned about our thinking profile, how we behave profile. And I think I may have shared with some of you, and just so you all can know what the city manager looked like and who is she. But I came from the perspective of a structured and analytic thinker, as opposed to a conceptual and I forget the other one.
That makes sense.
Anyway, I can't think of, conceptual and social. So I'm more analytical, structural, and social thinker and behavior. And my behavior profile leaned toward being a midway expressive, but yet on the high profile end of assertiveness and flexible. So that outcome was meaning and interpreted as I'm assertive, flexible, however, I'm deliberate in how I express myself in those behaviors. So it was interesting. And so the point is to learn how our profiles enhance communication and collaboration in our organization, and how it also enhanced the outcomes of the power of diversity in those thinking and discussions. So it was a very, very dynamic program. And so I've learned a lot. And I think I want to share this with also our leaders and management here, so that we can better understand each other and how we communicate, and also how we address the issues in our community. So thank you again. I appreciate it. And I also came with this wonderful plaque.
All right.
So I'm very surprised about. I said we deserve it after being every day.
There were no shopping trips at, ooh,
None.
Sounds brilliant.
Believe me.
Yeah.
So, but it was great. Thank you so much.
thank you very much. And now we have public participation of non-agenda items and consent agenda. Do we have any blue cards?
You do. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, do you have any blue cards? Or any?
I have 4 comments to read, Madam Mayor.
Okay,
Would you like me to begin or do you want?
why don't you begin?
Okay, first comment is from Daniel Hitchcock, 1215 North Ocean Breeze. Dear Commission, I live in the Parrot Cove area and am concerned about the rise in short-term rentals. I love my neighborhood and will continue to raise my 2 young children here, but I would prefer to be surrounded by families that are invested in the community and not by investment properties that typically sit vacant for weeks or months until the next group of inconsiderate vacationers arrive. Come to find out, short-term rentals are already banned in Lake Worth Beach. Why is this ordinance not enforced? Second is from Kate Schofield, 219 North Lakeside Drive. Please approve restrictions on investor-owned, non-owner occupied short-term rentals. The short-term rental 2 doors from my home has caused a lot of disturbance in our quiet, single-family neighborhood. The property in question is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home with a pool. It is listed for rent on the various platforms as Sleeps 8. The argument that Airbnb has strict vetting rules doesn't apply to all short-term rentals. This property is often listed on booking.com. Anyone with a credit card can reserve it, no vetting at all. The noise of partying, dogs barking, and kids screaming would not be tolerated in a hotel motel. Why is it allowed in our single-family residential neighborhood? Yvonne Brisson, 710 4th Avenue North. Please crack down on Airbnbs. They are ruining our community. Not to mention they are hurting affordable housing and the Gulf Stream. Anthony Gallegos, 429 North D Street. Good evening. I believe that the city should enforce the ordinance banning short-term rentals under 60 days. These properties create a nuisance, reduce the supply of long-term rentals, thereby reducing affordability for local renters in favor of profits for absentee landlords, further contributing to high real estate speculation in the area and creating a positive feedback loop of local displacement, skyrocketing rents, and the dissipation of local character and community cohesion. Those are all the comments I have.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna call just names out at random. Maria, Gina. And I can't read your last name because you're so, this I can barely read it. What's your last name?
Shelali Gelosini. I've just put on Shelali.
I'm sorry.
Shelali.
Okay,
Shelali.
and thank you. And your address?
It's 616 Lucerne Avenue
Okay.
in Lake Worth.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you've got 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes? 3 minutes.
Okay, so I'm a household of 2 and a dog and a cat. I lived in Lake Worth for over a year now. And I lived on 3rd and Federal. And I cared for my mother who has a degenerative disease. And I work as a server. So I have limited income and I've been through a lot of hardship, and we had a change in the building of an owner, and he wanted to make it an Airbnb, and he did not extend my lease and evicted me. He went into detail how he wants to make it an Airbnb. The next door building also is an Airbnb, but I personally never minded that in itself because it was a single family building, just like, for one family. But our building was an apartment complex. And we had to move, and I had to go through a rapid relocation that Palm Beach County provided, thank goodness. So that was made accessible, but I had to go through
all the legal stuff. I had to get an attorney, which was very difficult because you go through all the phone calls. And so it's a lot of additional stress and anxiety that it caused. It took a huge toll on me and my little family. And I'm hoping there's something in progress that can be addressed and done for apartment complexes where landlords cannot just go ahead and make it an Airbnb, or at least give ample time for me to find something. I was under a lot of stress and we had to move. And the rapid relocation, it took some bureaucratic action there, and it didn't go from one day to another. So it actually took 3 months of litigation and another 2 months of bureaucracy. And neighbors had to jump in order to come up with the money for my landlord. He was willing to work with me, but he knew about the bureaucratic hurdles. And my attorney and I, we really tried everything. But I mean, in the end, we got it all resolved through a combined effort. And I hope that in the future, there is something like even like a hotline or something that people can call and say, I'm getting evicted because of an Airbnb. I live in this complex and I need protection. And I also had mold in the apartment, and he learned about that from the first landlord. Nothing was done to address the water damages. And when he knew how bad it was, learning the building, getting to know, it was a 100-year-old building. So really a nice building, but it has its difficulties, and there was a lot of water damage. And he just wanted to make it a short-term rental to just have people come in and out. I actually got a toxicology report done, and we had the most toxic mold in the apartment. So thank goodness for Palm Beach County, rapid relocation, and Florida legal services, rural legal services who helped, because otherwise.
Thank you, that's time.
Thank
very
you
much.
for having me.
Thank you. Daniel Morgan.
Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening, Mayor. I'm here to make a request of the commission.
I'm sorry, address,
Oh.
please.
Daniel Morgan, 331 South J Street, apartment number 4. I would like to make a request of the commission to please take significant steps towards ending the practice and presence of Airbnbs in our city. Not only would, these short-term rentals now be, almost forced to rent their properties out to families in real need of a place to stay. It goes a long way towards demonstrating the city's capacity to enforce its laws and rules. And I see this as a first step of a long list of things that we need to do, to significantly address the housing crisis. The first thing that comes to mind is the conditions in which a lot of our residents find themselves in, having to live, having no better options, having to put up with dangerous conditions in the home, paying top dollar for these rentals. It's the city's job, I think, to stand up for what we have written in our books, right? That homes need to be up to code. Homes need to be safe. And there's a lot of people who don't feel as though they have the right to stand up to a landlord, to demand safe, adequate housing. It could be a variety of things. In my experience, it has been, people coming from other countries never being empowered to stand up for themselves or to seek justice for themselves. But I believe that this city, this commission has a commitment towards addressing the housing crisis and safe housing and healthy homes, which is so vital for a community like ours. And so I think this is the first step. But we can't get over this hurdle of enforcing the rules governing short-term rentals. How could we possibly address the challenges that we face in making sure that homes in Lake Worth Beach are safe for our residents? Thank you.
Nick Palingi. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies.
Nick Pagliugi, 429 North D Street.
Oh, the way your penmanship is not.
I'm sorry, never been very good. I just want to echo what everyone else has been saying, and it's really frustrating and saddening to hear her story because it's a law that's on the books that's not being enforced for some reason. And, short-term rentals and Airbnbs not being allowed in Lake Worth. Why isn't it enforced? Yesterday I watched code enforcement towing away my neighbor's work truck. Some guy who's being gouged by his greedy landlord. And these kind of parasites, to be honest, that are buying up properties as investments and renting them out as short-term rentals, which no one really wants. That slides for some reason. So I'd like to ask the city to enforce the law or have a meeting about it and figure out why it is a law if it's not being enforced. Thanks.
If it was easy, we would do it. Alexander Cole.
Good evening, Alexander Call, 1616 North M Street, right here in town. First and foremost, thank you for having me, to the Honorable Mayor and Commissioner. It's a pleasure to stand up here again. I will start with a short anecdote. So this last summer, about March and April, a very, very good friend of mine, a couple, they worked downtown. They worked at a litany of restaurants downtown. So I'm sure at one point or another, they poured a drink for each and every single one of you or served a meal. They came to me out of desperation. They had been homeless for several days and they didn't know what to do. And I asked why. They were staying at a multifamily residence on South L Street, to which, very similar story to this, the landlord stepped up and decided that we are going to convert these multiple units into Airbnbs on a short-term notice and evict everybody. Violation of the Florida's Tenants Bill of Rights, violation of multiple laws, but these are all low-income people. They don't know that they have these resources available to them, and if they were to hire a lawyer, they'd be out more money than they started with to begin with. So my very good friends found themselves homeless, and we all got together and we lent them a hand. But then I really had to take a moment and look into how this had existed in the first place. I'd always heard rumors that short-term rentals were not permitted within the city limits. Looking into it, I find out that it's specifically part of the business application license, in which rentals of 60 days or less are not permitted within city limits. And then began figuring out exactly why this exists and why this didn't occur. And I understand that at direction of the prior commission and the prior city manager, and I think it was 2017, it was asked that this no longer be enforced. So with that in mind, I will be honest, I got to work. You may have noticed me this last summer sitting on a tent almost every single weekend, collecting petition signatures on a petition for the mere request that the city enforce the existing law that is written. The city simply enforce the law as it is currently written. This is not a small problem. This is not a problem that will be going away. Since the first quarter of 2021 and the close of the third quarter of this fine year of 2022, we are now up 2 more Airbnbs. We went from 400 to 600 for a 40% rate increase. Countless people are being thrown out of their homes, evicted for a business that is illegal to operate within the city, which is downright absurd. Not a higher rent, not a, hey, we're renovating and you can't afford it anymore. No, you are being thrown out of your home, in many cases evicted, for something which is illegal to operate in the city. I ask very kindly that the city consider enforcing the existing law as written. A July 8th memo from 2021, if I remember correctly, Will Waters sent this to the mayor and the commissioner advising that action can be taken. He recommended a workshop. I will be frank, I've spent a lot of time with people on the streets and heard horror story after horror story about these things. So it would be my request that the law simply be enforced as written. Building department, according to such memo, they do keep track of these properties and they are able to manage it. 4 out of 5 individuals on this board voted for a housing crisis. What I'm going to say is addressing short-term rentals is not going to solve the housing crisis. It's not going to curb rent. It's not going to introduce more housing, but it will do one thing. It will add now as of the third quarter, 600 single-family housing units back onto the market for people who work here, live here.
Thank you, that's time.
Thank you for your time, and above all else, I very much appreciate it.
Thank you, Rich. And please, everyone that's commenting, this be advised that we are all considering it and thinking about it and what can we do. We understand that it's a problem and our ability to fix the problem is a little bit limited. Todd Townsend. Oh, I wouldn't mind waiting for all that group to go through.
Yeah, really.
It's heated out here tonight. Okay, so Todd Townsend, 502 South J Street. I just wanted to see if we can get a final kibosh on the L&M project. Why rehash this whole thing? That project was literally a big part of the reason that the commission was considering taking over the CRA to begin with, right? Which of course, I think you shouldn't do that, but the CRA should be in lockstep following the directions of the commission step by step with every project so that there are no surprises. You get this big surprise. Oh my God, they've already spent all this money. They want to do all this stuff. So in lieu of that, the L&M project should actually be a development project on First Ave, which is going to go towards parking and accessibility. So that starts by putting a light on Dixie and First so that cars can come in both ways and go out both ways. Bulldoze those 3 wrecked houses on K Street, put 40 parking spaces right there. Pave 30 spaces directly behind the cultural building. We'll just get that property and do that. And remove the leisure services house to the First Avenue on the alley between K and L Street. It will be really nice there. Keep the leisure services there. They are decorated for all the different holidays and stuff. And then in that space that it currently sits in now, which is 17 M Street, pave that. So now I've got like almost 120 spaces on the ground, extra spaces that we desperately need. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say. And happy Thanksgiving coming out to everybody. If you do Thanksgiving and you don't have to eat turkey, you can eat any other thing. You know, you can eat some plant-based stuff since I still have time. Tofurkey, whatever you want to do. It doesn't have to be turkey. And I'm looking forward to my my presentation at our next meeting, which you've probably already received my email, right? And it's all about the bridge going over 95 to the school, to the middle school. So I've already sent that in, and I look forward to talking to you all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fisher.
Peggy Fisher, 508 North A Street. I have come up here over the course of many years. It's the first time that 5 of you up on the dais will hear about this. The District 2 Commissioner has heard it before because I've been here when he was sitting up here before. And that is, according to the major thoroughfare guidelines of the city, North A Street is not a major thoroughfare. It is posted no trucks at the roundabout at 10th Avenue. It is a walkway for our students going to high school, middle school, and the elementary school that you just had everyone up here introduced to you. It is a route for school buses. It is a road in a residential neighborhood of single-family homes and multi-family homes. Yet every day, dump trucks, delivery trucks, car haulers, loaded wreckers. I even had parts of Bohemian when it was being built, being brought down North A Street, which I will say William Waters graciously got the contractor to stop. These trucks cannot stop on a dime. And if kids run out in the roadway, we'll have a dead kid. I don't want this. I have asked the city to do everything they can to enforce no trucks on this roadway. You wouldn't like it if trucks were rolling down L Street, north and south. Lakeside Drive, South Palmway. We need to respect our residential neighborhoods. This is a thoroughfare that people have made a thoroughfare, and trucks need to go to the truck route, Dixie Highway.
Is it posted?
It is, the truck route is posted at the roundabout,
No trucks. I mean, is there?
and it is a no truck sign on at the roundabout. There's a no truck sign on 10th Avenue. Turning on, as you turn on to North A coming south, and there's one for North A going north. This needs to be enforced somehow. This is a two-lane street, one lane each way.
Right.
And as I said, I've asked this multiple times. It took me 10 years to get one speed bump put in on North A Street, and it isn't even fully across the road so that half the people go around it, which is really useful when you're trying to slow down speeders in front of an elementary school. But I'm asking once again to a new commission, a new city manager to please look at this. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask Captain Bayer if we can have some enforcement on A Street, like targeted for a while. I mean, it's, how do you stop it unless people know that they're going to have some sort of consequence for going on there? It's, I'm on L Street, South L Street, coming out of downtown. It's a lot of trucks as well, but we should pay attention to that. I'm going to ask our city manager.
We also have Mr. Brown here that might look into more speed bumps
Or talking, yeah, he's here a moment.
or some way to slow or
To ask Mr. Brown directly, if he knows there's an issue, we will address it. And last but not least, Sam Velasquez.
First of all, I need to congratulate all of you for the fine work that you're doing for the city of Lake Worth. I am not a
You
resident.
need to give us your name and address.
My name is Sam Velasquez and I live in Boynton Beach, 1510 Southwest 9th Avenue, but I'm a member of the Lake Worth Lions Club, which is why I'm here. I took the liberty of delivering to you some of our advertising of what we do, who we are, and a couple of samples of some of the projects that we developed last year for the kids at St. Mary's Hospital Quantum House. The Lions Club started in 1917 by a gentleman by the name of I'm sorry.
Take your time.
Gentleman by the name of Melvin Jones, who was really committed to community service. And it started in Chicago, 1917. The Lake Worth Lions Club was started in 1925. We are about ready to celebrate 100 years of existence. And my reason for being here tonight is just to give you an idea of what we do, what we want to do in the community. For example, in honor of Melvin Jones, last year, we honored 3 restaurants who took matters into their own hand. We had the Howley's Restaurant, who every year help people in the service industry, okay? He founded H3, which is Hospitality Helping Hands, a nonprofit organization established to help hospitality workers and their families for more job security and better living conditions. We honored also the Farmer Grill restaurant. For years, they have been providing free meals for Thanksgiving to the community. We also helped honor the Quantum House. One of our projects with the Lions Club here is that we have taken it upon ourselves to provide services to the families that come to have their children at St. Mary's Hospital, people from all over the world. Last year, we served a luncheon, and there were families from Poland, families from Nicaragua, Venezuela, all over the place. And these families have to stay in Quantum House while their children are receiving the services at St. Mary's. So we reach out to the families and kind of ease their pain and help them with that at the Quantum House. So as the kids are getting better, we decided to.
Thank you, sir. That's time.
You can finish quickly.
Okay, provide a card with an activity and it was a maze and they had to fill it out just to make them feel better. So what we want to do is let you know that we're here to serve. And we want to work with you on your projects. I met some of you at the Memorial Day wreath. We set a wreath there. And so we're active in the community. Even though I live in Boynton Beach, I love Lake Worth. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And it is a wonderful, you still take eyeglasses?
We do. We had a place to store them, but the place that stored them for us was the house that for the Braille Club, and they since moved to Boynton Beach. So we're looking. If you don't have a place, we can store them. If you have it, we're looking for places to do our service. We meet, and I'm late because I'm here on the third Tuesday of every month at 2J, which is where I'm heading now. Thank you very much. Please look at the brochures and reach out to us when you can. Thank you.
And please send our regards to your members when you go there tonight.
I will.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. The service community, service organizations like this are sort of unseen heroes in the community. They just do stuff quietly because it's the right thing to do, and we are grateful for that service.
Excuse me, Mayor, Mr. Brown, can you turn the air up so it stops kicking on, please? It is freezing in here.
Thank you.
Great.
Oh,
I am.
Every time.
Works the same way. Okay, now we have the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
I motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Consented,
Before we go on, Madam Mayor,
yeah.
we definitely heard from a significant number of people in our community, and it's an issue that we're aware of for quite a while. And I think the point that if we have laws on our books that say that something is not allowed, and if it's like, you can't plant trees with leaves wider than this size or some, obscure thing. Okay, maybe we don't worry too hard whether we enforce that or not. But we are very clear that we generally do not allow businesses in residential parts of our city. And short-term rentals pretty clearly are businesses.
Well, so is a long-term rent.
Well,
I mean, the difference, I understand the difference, but I mean, it's a business, it's the license.
it gets a little closer to a residential neighborhood kind of idea if it's a 60-term one. And I really do, I think I mentioned at another meeting on a totally unrelated issue that I don't feel very comfortable with the idea that we have laws on the books and we just say, well, we have done this, but we're not going to enforce it. Particularly where it's something more significant like this. And I think we ought to figure out what we're going to do about it and decide either we're going to get rid of the law or we're going to change the law or we're going to enforce the law or whatever it is that we do. We ought to do something to rectify that. Obviously not right now.
Yeah, I also have a lot of people that, and I don't want to get into this discussion right now, trying to get home. Right. But there's quite a few people that would fill up this hall and say, we love Airbnbs. You can't restrict our use of a, and I'm just going to say, practically speaking, do you go every 60 days and make sure the same people are there? How do you really enforce that kind of thing? So I don't think it's a simple question. Obviously, it's not a simple answer because no one's found the answer yet. So if we want to take a couple minutes and talk about this, that's fine. Tonight's not the night.
I think we need to bring it back onto an
I'm
agenda.
gonna skip over you guys.
Yes.
I'm skipping right over you, Ms. Davis. Let's see what she said. I think, because we've been talking about this, I think all of us have been talking to her about this.
Well, I just wanted to bring up, because Commissioner Stokes brought this up and made a request that this comes up. So.
Davis, talk first.
he's reading my mind.
Yeah, that's a mistake. I think we've all
Yes, I
spoken
was
with
just going to
him.
remind the commission that this had been brought up before about having a discussion. Staff is looking for a scheduled time to coordinate your schedules to find a workshop. You all have decided to have a workshop to discuss exactly what the vice mayor is discussing and bringing up today. And we're working on that as well. I also wanted to let you know that on the RFP, that discussion that we had regarding the housing prices, staff is working on that RFP to get it out. But one thing we thought about as we think about the issue of the short-term rental, our thought was that we should include some analysis of short-term rentals and its impact. So we felt that was an important factor that we need to consider in that short-term study. And so I know it wasn't talked about, but I wanted to share that with you. So that was part of our hope that will give you some data or some information to help you in your decision-making process on short-term rentals. So I just want to remind you of that, and we are working on.
And we're not unaware of it.
For a work session.
And did you not, Mr. Attorney, did you not, Mr. Attorney, I don't know why I call you that. Lawyer, did you not just share with us the white papers that have come out? Did you not email us all the different ideations that have come out?
I think that.
Yes,
Okay,
Mr.
great.
Waters sent that up.
Right,
all
was
to
it
you.
Mr. Waters? Okay, great.
Mhm.
And I think it would be helpful if, I don't know how because the public needs to, read those as well, I think. So I don't know how we could
It could
either
be,
get them on the website or just, how that could appear. Maybe just when we advertise the workshop, put those white
Oh,
papers
absolutely.
on there.
Yeah.
Because it's a sticky problem. I mean, I had a neighbor, I have a rental next door to me, and there was a long-term rental, and I wished it was Airbnb because he was such a problem for like 3 years in my life, but that's just an anecdotal thing. Mr. Diaz, did you want to say anything then?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to kind of preemptively ask city manager, if, are we closer to a date? Can we give like a time frame of when people can kind of keep an eye on maybe,
March?
Well, it all depends. And staff asked me, matter of fact, just yesterday, they asked me, have we decided a date or was something else scheduled? Well, what I can propose to you is give us your direction. As I mentioned, we're including short-term rentals impact on our housing situation. So we can wait for discussion after you receive your report, which could, of course, stretch the discussion. But if you want to do it sooner, prior to information provided in the housing
I
study.
think the more information we have, the better off we are, honestly. I mean, what's the staff time frame?
Well, as far as the RFP, we're still making sure we're shaping the RFP. I don't know if Mr. Torcivia has a timeframe that we're finished with the draft.
yes,
And are we finished with the draft?
I think so.
Oh, good.
I think so.
So we'll get that out probably within the week. And
Oh, you're talking about the RFP, like the global
housing study
housing.
RFP.
I don't know that we need that. much
No.
for that.
I think,
So
yeah,
let
I
us
think.
know. What you think?
I think that's kind of what I wanted to bring up is I think there's things that we can discuss and talk about because we've talked about this issue a lot. We have a great report from Mr. Waters and others, and I feel like we should commit to a workshop or something sooner than later. I was thinking like January, February to
Right.
think about what we could do now. And then a housing study, including, impacts of these investment owned properties on our housing, that would give us good data and tools for long-term, what
Yeah.
can we do?
So go ahead and do it without the RFP and all that. Just
Right.
Right.
So that's why I was thinking is it reasonable to ask for maybe January or somewhat sooner?
That's helpful. That's fine. We just need to know the timeframe in which you wanted to set it. We were
It's almost
thinking,
December now.
we were almost in December, but we could do January, February.
I'm just a little frustrated because before we got elected, there was a workshop. They went over A, B, C, all the way to I, different things that we could do that don't really address the concerns that we're hearing. And it all boils down to, do we want to get rid of the 60-day minimum? That is the question that we are being asked to decide. Do we want to get rid of the 60-day minimum? If the answer is no, then we need to enforce it with all of the tools at our disposal. And then we don't have to have a workshop. If the answer is yes, then we have to say, okay, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to replace it with anything? What can we replace it with? But I feel like a 30-minute discussion on just, do we want to get rid of it? Yes or no? If the decision is no, we don't need a workshop. If the decision is yes, then we have to move to a workshop. But we know we can't control where they're at, the number that they are, the proliferation of them. So I think we need to have a discussion about it and then determine the next steps. I don't want another workshop like the last two we had where we all walk away and say, oh, what are we going to do?
Enforcement's one of the issues. I mean, how do you really enforce the 60-day minimum? I mean, you can say on paper, I'm a land, and part of my rental license is I won't do it more, less than 60 days, but who's going to go out and say, are you on vacation here? I mean, how do we do that? I think.
Madam Mayor, that's my question to legal is if, because Airbnb and VRBO say that you have to be licensed, show proof of all this. If that's really, and I'm not saying I'm left or right on this discussion. I think that we need a lot more community input. I have an Airbnb right behind me and it is awful. I loved it when it was a sober living house. I mean, that's it went from one of those to and being a great neighbor for 5 years and not a peep out of them to the guy flipped it, sold it, and ours is a 5-bedroom, so you can't even imagine what we deal with. But I'm not gonna make my decision based on my personal effect. My question is, if it's really something we have on the books, is it something that legally we could send a letter to Airbnb and VRBO and say, if you have any that are listed in Lake Worth Beach, this is our law, and if you are saying that you're doing things lawfully, and I'm not saying this is the route, I just want to know, is that something that would be possible?
Yeah, I think.
Yes.
I think that's
Yes.
a really, I was just, yeah.
I agree with the community engagement, which is why I'm not sure that another workshop is the right route to go because we don't take public comment there. And if you at least advertise an item on an agenda, but I don't want to blow up a whole agenda with one discussion item, have 1,500 people come. So I was actually going to ask our city manager tomorrow if I can find a place in my neighborhood to host maybe a little bit of a town hall for.
Rent an Airbnb, no.
Because I do think
You can
we
also
need to
have
hear.
a special meeting, just that topic. So it depends. You can have a community meeting or you can have a special commission meeting.
Because maybe as many people were here tonight, obviously people were talking and coming to the city commission tonight, but I get frequent emails and communications with people that are fully in favor of Airbnb, as long as they're not in the single family district, of course. Airbnbs, it's a limitation on how I can use my land. Okay, we're getting way deep into it, and I think we need to sort of pull back.
Yeah, I think that's about the workshop.
We'll schedule it somewhere January, February.
Like.
Just that I don't. We just heard that there is quite a bit of a mechanism for potential enforcement if that's the direction we're going to go.
Is there?
Through Airbnb or the
Oh, no.
vacation rental by owner. We have a number of others. I don't think that we should make that assumption. We should figure out our policy and what we want to do and then deal with it.
Okay. Next up is approval of minutes.
We did.
We did.
We did that, Madam Mayor.
The consent agenda, was that where we?
That's where we are, Madam Mayor.
Okay, new business, motion to approve the consent agenda?
Yes.
A motion by Commissioner Malega, do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner McBoy, all in favor?
Aye.
New business, resolution 87-2022 refuse fund budget amendment. I have one public comment. Do I have a motion? Or Mr. Brown, would you like, there you are.
He's just hanging out.
He doesn't hang out.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Commission. This item is for 2 additional positions, equipment operators in the solid waste and recycling division. They were part of the budget. They were not funded in the budget though. So what we're asking for is to actually fund these 2 positions. So they're not 2 additional positions. They're already shown in the budget. But we do have, every now and then you'll see the social media post or something go out that we didn't finish a route on a particular day. Leave the cans out, we'll pick it up the next day. We're running pretty lean in that division. And when we have someone out on, FMLA, because they were hurt, which we do right now, along with someone who might be on vacation or someone who called in sick. Those three people, automatically you're down. Now it's more of a dire situation. It's all hands on deck. We've got our foreman on trucks. We've got our supervisor on our trucks. So our main goal in that division is to complete every single route, every single day, not leave anything on the ground. So these two positions are definitely needed, which is why we're bringing it forward.
And the funding is from where?
It's coming out of our regular, it's enterprise account, our solid
You
waste
have
account is
it there.
enterprise.
Oh, okay.
Correct. So it's just coming out of our solid waste account.
Okay, Commissioner Malega?
My question is, and I brought this up before, I love the fact that we give our residents bulk day, because I don't know any municipality that does that every single month. But my bigger concern is there any way that one of these people could be a person that goes behind and picks up the glass that gets broken and left behind? Because a lot of times when we do the bulk day, the debris that's left behind
It's pretty bad.
is awful. And then couple that with a rainstorm and then down the drains, and I just don't know if we can do better
Yeah.
at getting someone to go behind,
Yeah.
even just a regular pickup truck with a broom and a dustpan. And just follow them behind when we do bulk days, just to try to, we're trying to do better, that's all.
We have also the street sweeper.
Mhm.
I know residents have asked for us to publish a schedule of the street sweeper because it's just not being as effective as it could. And we can't mandate, we've talked about not being really able to mandate easily, like switch this side of the road here or there. And we know that there's weather and things that it's not always exactly predictable, but if we could get something and then residents in the neighborhood who want to be proactive, look at the schedule and try to coordinate that, at least they have the information available to them.
And we actually used to have a schedule, which we would publish each year, and we can go back to that.
Didn't we just buy you a new street sweeper?
Yes.
I want a schedule
And it's
published.
working. So the issue we ran into before,
Does that mean we have two or we just have?
we have two. We have two. Because remember, we had outsourced some of that function.
Right.
We brought it back in-house because it's hard to manage. So the issue with the street sweeper schedule that we've run into in the past is when we did have the schedule, say your day is a Tuesday, it's pouring down rain that
Right.
day, so we're not running. So the question is, do we now service the Tuesday route
Right.
on Wednesday? And if you get 2 days back to back, now it's Thursday. Do we now try it? So you kind of get thrown off. So it's one of those things where if the day is not, if we can't sweep that day,
Right.
you're just missed. So if you get,
Couldn't you just put that there?
During the week of the, I don't know, I mean, it's just.
Couldn't you just put weather permitting, if it rains on your day, sorry, we'll catch you next week?
and the only problem with that is that now, if it's also raining the next week or there's an issue we can't get through there, now you might go 2 weeks, 3 weeks without actually sweeping an area versus had we just postponed that day we couldn't get to it, now you're only a day behind.
They haven't been
So-
on my road for a long time.
And that's the other thing, we start early in different areas all the time to try and get there before, like downtown, it's a perfect example. We always get out there super early before cars pile up, but it's this constant struggle of trying to find different areas, different parts of the day where we can get the maximum sweeping done without having to kind of go on the street because you have this long line of cars and
Yeah.
kind of dip in, dip out. So it's this constant battle. We can look at doing a schedule again, but again, my only fear and the issue we ran into before when we did that was we would get a lot of calls. You guys missed me today. You guys missed me. You missed me. And it's like, well, sorry, we haven't been there the last 2 or 3 weeks, but it was raining on those days and we weren't able to actually service you. So it's positive and negative both ways.
Oh,
I guess I was just gonna say pretty much kind of the same thing. It's like, I'm not gonna put that onus on you on getting a schedule together because it's something that seems like it should be really simple, but it is incredibly tedious and difficult to enforce. And I can't imagine we have a pretty nice street sweeper, and I can't imagine it squeezing between two cars. I mean, it needs a lot of space to make a turn. So I think this is a really good tie-in to what Mayor mentioned earlier in terms of having a community-wide education initiative. Let's all do better as a community, because I do see a number of people, at least on my street, they go out and they'll sweep this well by themselves, and that's if you have a Royal Poinciana, that's quite the task. And so, there are people who do care and can chip away at this problem. But yeah, I mean, the schedule is tedious and tough, and it gives people an expectation that sometimes we're not going to be able to realistically be able to meet.
Yeah, and a perfect example of that is right before the meeting.
Yeah.
He spoke with our street sweeper, and he literally timed it out with Trish, to blow everything off of the sidewalk and I was yard everything into the street as she was coming.
I'm
So-
curious if like on the website, if it's
Yeah.
today is the day that Mango Grove is getting done. Oh, canceled due to weather. Here tomorrow. And if just every morning we can say, where is our street sweeper here? It's not that. I'm sorry, guys. I work on computers all day long. And it's not that much work to update a website once a morning. It's just not. Like, it seems like a lot of work, but I think if our residents, I've heard a lot about the street. You've heard about it in the past. Residents thinking that they got missed. It's just about sharing information. This is what happened. This is why you got missed. You're tomorrow. And if there's our very like eager residents who want to check and move their cars and do whatever, they have that information, they can do what they want with it. And maybe I know we have outdated systems and stuff, and I don't want to take it lightly and put more burden on your staff, but unless there's something I'm not seeing, it's not incredibly hard.
I understand. And again, if
In the
the
morning,
direction is
just-
that you guys want to move back toward a schedule, we absolutely can work back toward that. It's just seemed to work out a little bit better since we are able to kind of shift.
Oh, it doesn't
based
have to be
on-
a schedule.
based on weather and everything.
If it's rotated, how many zones are there?
Yeah, we
For the
utilize
street
those
sweeper,
four
four,
zones.
that's it?
Mhm.
Every day you do one?
Well, depending on the day, and how much we have to dump, because some days obviously where it's a lot heavier than other days. So the sweeper fills up just like you would be filling up.
All right.
So you have to actually go and dump.
I'm sorry, I know I took this way off topic, but we'll talk more outside of this meeting because I think there is a solution out there that we can find. So for the communication piece, I think there is.
And I too have heard that a schedule, at least for some people, I think would be appreciative of it. And maybe I think the suggestion of making it somewhat dynamic, it's on the website, you can look, yep. Area 1 is in today. Area 1 is not in today because we expect rain or whatever.
If people don't move their cars, that doesn't really, there's not, New York City,
We talked about the report in New York, but that's kind of like a known thing.
Right.
You move your car, yeah. Big city.
if only we had that to threaten with. Okay, Ms. Fisher.
Going to talk even though you don't have everything?
I'm sorry?
I
I didn't hear you.
did, I think.
Good motion. Peggy Fisher, 508 North A Street. I just wanted to say to Mr. Brown and his crew that as far as I see, every day they're out there working very diligently. And North A is again a route for his trucks, which is fine because they have to go north and south and north. And they use it to go rather than Dixie Highway, I know, which is fine. So that's how I know they're out there all the time. So I wanted to say thank you for all that they do. There are a lot of people in the community that sweep the swale and clean up after everything. So there are people in the community that do that, putting something on the website. A lot of people aren't going to go to the website every day to look at it. Now I'm going to take my privilege, since you all took privilege, and put an item on the agenda and had an extensive discussion about it without notifying the public. And my comment is, the mayor is the one who leads this meeting. If she directs that someone is to speak next, then you all need to respect her saying that. You all need to listen to what she says, not speak over her. You need to respect her. You need to go by Robert's rules, which you all adopted. And you all need to not bring up items and spend a half an hour talking about it without noticing the public. That is not fair to everyone in this city that you are supposed to be represented. I don't care how many people come up in a meeting and comment on something. It's okay to acknowledge it and ask the city manager to do something. But to have an extended discussion is unfair fair to the constituents that you represent in this city. Thank you.
Thank you. Olivia Serrano. Thank you. And I know how to pronounce your name.
Thank you very much, Olivia Serrano, 413 North L Street. On the street sweeper, coincidentally today, I have been in contact with Tricia. She's a sweeper, and twice she has helped me clean our street. Today, she notified me that she was going to be on the North L. So I got with my blower and got all the debris from under the cars. And she worked with it back and forth. That street looks very clean now. And I'm sure all that stuff was going to end up in the intercoastal. Sometimes you just got to take responsibility for your own city. I hear a lot of complaints about mouthing this, the staff, things aren't working, but sometimes it's easy. If you have a problem, take care of it yourself. The staff is there to help you. She has been terrific. And, we're going to try to see if we can work something more formal with our neighborhood association and get other volunteers to do it. But I'm telling you, the street looks great today after she was there.
That's great. Yeah.
Mango Grove should be on the task force, the
Mango Grove.
litter task force that whatever was mentioned earlier.
There are a
They're on top.
group, really. They're wonderful. Thank you. Okay, and we didn't vote. We haven't even done a motion yet.
You
We did.
had a
Okay.
motion.
So,
Big boy made a motion.
do I have a second?
Vice
Did
Mayor.
I get a second?
Second.
I don't.
By Commissioner Malega, all in favor?
Aye.
Very much. City Attorney's report.
Not very long. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Okay,
Thanks.
you too.
Okay,
I have a question.
sure.
Speaking of Thanksgiving, we have our pre-agenda meeting set for the Wednesday before. Are we still doing that? The day before Thanksgiving.
Pleasure of the commission.
That's what
That is
I'm throwing
a
out
day
there.
before Thanksgiving, so I think the staff typically said that you may not usually have those meetings before the.
But we never had
holiday.
them.
Oh, this
before.
is the first one, huh? Oh,
It was an innovative idea we had. Well, do you want to skip it?
Yeah, it makes sense to skip it, but I know due to the storm, we just missed our last
skipped
one
it,
too,
right.
so that would be 2 in a row.
Um,
But when's the next one after that? December what?
Could we
Madam Clerk.
bounce it to the next week and then just, except then they
No,
don't.
we'll be in
Yeah.
Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Orlando, wherever the heck we're going.
Madam Clerk.
It should be December 14th. It's the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month.
Well,
I was asking for calendar reasons.
Yeah, I'm available.
I'm available too.
I am as well. It's an hour on a Wednesday morning on Zoom.
Staff working.
Oh, yes, it is open.
Okay. Second.
I don't, but I just thought about, we were on the upcoming meeting.
Yeah.
I do want to recognize on the agenda, it says the next regular meeting is December 1st. That
Yeah, I'm
is
sorry, that was a typo.
So it's December 6th.
6. Yeah.
And on December 5th, you'll be having your workshop on the integrated resource plan.
Okay.
I said 5th, December 5th,
5th, Monday.
workshop.
Monday. Okay. At 5 o'clock. We have our workshops at 5.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's good. All right, I have a trial the next day.
All right.
No,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear a motion or second for adjourning.
We get Malega motion, Stokes seconded.
all in favor?